That sounds good. Let's do it again. Sounds good. Here.
Golden now.
All right. Call the December 14th transit meeting to order. The full board is present. Where are we at? Oh, is John on there? Oh, John's not here. Okay. Approval of minutes, November 9th.
Move we approve.
Second. What's been moved and seconded? All in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
No public comment. Nothing else. On to Austin.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Some months I wonder if it'll be kind of slow or I'll be struggling to get enough information for my meeting. And then months like last month happen. So a lot on the plate for everyone today. All right. Try the slideshow mode today, and I'll come off the TV with my luck. So agenda, like every month, we'll go through this, especially we have Gretchen joining us, the new city representative. So thank you for being a part of this transit commission. Every month we go through ridership, financial, grants, the electric bus update, staffing, around the shop, on the route, and any questions that anyone might have. Okay, doorstop and Red Cedar ridership, that's our door-to-door bus service. It increased from 523 in October to 580 in November. And we had a couple less days of service. So up in double digits, over 11%. And then looking back to September and October, ridership decreased from 535 in September to 523 in October, down a couple percent. So that was great to see that increase, especially with us not running a few days, holidays around Thanksgiving. Community route ridership, again, increased from 966 in October to 1086 in November, up 12%. Scout was out after Tuesday at 4 p.m. On Thanksgiving week. So that was very good to see too. Looking back from September to October, it was up 22% in October. Scout route ridership increased from 13,362 to 13,449, up just over 0.5%. But we had a few less days again with that route, ending it last Tuesday at Tuesday of Thanksgiving week at 4:30 p.m. Looking back on how we did versus previous years, being at 1086 in November in 2022 on community route, being back over 1,000 is great. A lot of those numbers from 2019 to 2015 is a lot of overflow on the Scout route. If we looked at the people that were using the bus, students or community members who go to other places like Walmart, and places around the city, is a lot greater now than those numbers back in 2015 to 2019 of using the community bus to go from Red Cedar Hall down to the line, stuff like that. Looking at doorstop, at 400. and Red Cedar ridership was at 180. So that's the third best ever month for November based on this year versus previous year. Stout route ridership. I just sent there, and they have to speak to a report on how Stout is done this year versus other years, and just student ridership overall. And this was great to see the end of the year numbers all come together with this. I'm projecting around 117,000 rides between all of our routes, and that is what we were at in 2019. Through yesterday on the Stout routes, we were at 6,800 for the month of December, and if you look at 2021 through the whole year, through the end of the month of December, we were at 6,900. So we're going to blow that out of the water. And then looking at the Stout PM route, we're already at 1,681 through yesterday, which puts it. Well, it'll be the best month ever of the Stout PM. Looking at financials on the expense side, not much has changed here. The only thing left, the only big bills left to come in on the operations side are around a 25,000 November staffing bill, and then it'll be around 20,000 December staffing bill. You put those together, and we're at about 15% to the good. 2 fuel bills, that'll be around 3,000-4,000, but still good to the double digits. Revenues through, sorry, not 10/31, 12/31, but putting all these together, the second Stout invoice is going out this week. The passenger fares, another 2,500 of AR bills mailed out. That puts us closer to shy of 27-28%. But with what we had in November, what we are hoping to have in December, we shouldn't be that far off when it comes to the doorstop bus bringing in, getting us close to what we're looking for actuals on the revenue side of passenger fare. Putting everything that we have coming in so far, that puts us at 76%, and we still have a final payment from WISDOT due, so we'll be looking good. This year we budgeted $93,000 to come in from our 8521 grant from Human Services, and $119,000 was transferred in last week over from them. So that looks good. This is sitting at 100%. Final Stout invoice goes out this week, and so that's looking good. Grant timeline. The big one for this last month was getting the state 5311 grant. That's the one up in this last slide. That's over 300,000, helping us out every year. That was completed and submitted 12/8. That was due 12/9 at the end of the day. And then UW Stout subsidy March and December payment went out this week. Electric bus update. The $39,000 payment up to them is going out this week to pay for the 2 charges. Staffing. This was 9. It is 7 now. And it was our 2 newest drivers. So our crew of 7 that we've had for 3+ years are all still there. 1 to moving out of state, and the other 2 personal stuff at home. So we are extremely tight right now, but after we make it through this week, we're sitting very good for the whole month of October or December through January to the last week when Stout comes back. And with everyone transferring over to county positions, it was 2 less that had to be onboarded. All staff were met with yesterday and given Dunn County offer letters, and to my knowledge, everybody. So everybody was extremely excited about that. Thank you to Rachel, HR manager here, for coming over, helping us through all that, and the whole HR staff, and Chris, Beata, Sarah, everybody who's had a hand in helping get the drivers over to be Dunn County employees. About half will be full-time and half will be part-time. Around the office, like in the last meeting, I talked about this big audit was coming up with how our operations are between ridership, fares, how we report things, the age of our fleet, how we're doing for ridership compared to pre-COVID, other counties, everything. The final report comes out next week, but there was nothing alarming that they saw at all. I asked them about, potential solutions to the increased volume of riders on the doorstop bus, and possible solutions to that. And they said it's a good problem to have, saying, how do we keep up? Because other counties or other agencies are saying, how do we stop the bleeding? Because their ridership has not bounced back, or they can't find enough help. And that was great to hear. So it's little things like this that, if we improve on little things like this and focus on moving forward and improving, rather than getting a feedback saying, how do we stop that? So that was great to hear. One of the big takeaways from the meeting is we track, we've came leaps and bounds in the last couple of years with how we track ridership. We can run instant reports. How are we doing based on that? They wanted us to take a step further. How are we doing with tracking on-time performance at each bus stop or at each location that we're picking people up? How many times are we late in comparison to how many times we're on time to door-to-door, community route, stuff like that. So just taking it one step further. So that was great to get that outside opinion on how to improve. We get all these reports, are built into our system, so it doesn't take much extra to run them. On the route, we talked about last meeting on our Dunn County doorstop rate, and on the Transportation Sustainability Committee with Human Services. That is the committee that is in charge of the doorstop rate, which I didn't know that until the meeting. But that brings us on this committee to other solutions other than the doorstop fare. So, but like we talked about in the last committee, I got information on what other agencies were charging for their door-to-door bus service, fixed route service, stuff like that. $3 is what we charge. And other than 2 or 3 agencies, $3 is right in the median, if not a bit more. Other ideas from the Transportation Committee is, we used to go to surrounding cities, and the reason why it got kiboshed is because of lack of ridership. But somebody did bring up a great point in being, well, what if we pick the day of the week to go to Wheeler one time a day? What if we picked one day, and then that would be in the morning, and then they'd be in town for the day, do one trip back, and they use their other bus services to do their shopping. Sometimes they, people in Wheeler, people in Glenwood City or Boyceville that are wheelchair bound or they don't, those small cities don't have another form of transportation, or it'd be $100 cab charge to get to Menominee, to Walmart or Fleet Farm, that kind of thing. So that was a good idea. Right now, the biggest focus is, having enough drivers for the routes that we have. But I think that might be a good idea for the future and looking further into, and maybe doing surveys. They talked about surveys with that meeting as well. The other solution that would deter some of the issues I feel that we've had is the consultant talked about the idea to raise our bulk token purchases to the agency rate. So any agency that is paying for fares for their riders, some people are paid by an outside billing agency, government agency that takes care of 30 rides a month to employment or a day program. They have been always billed at a higher rate because we do a monthly invoice and then we send it to the agency. Well, technically there is no difference in an agency like Stepping Stones buying tokens in bulk and then giving them in packs of 10 to riders, because that has to be billed out monthly or whenever they decide, and then given to people. And then compared to a person getting on the bus and buying 10 tokens for themselves. So something like that would match exactly what we are already doing for agency rate tonight. It would deter a little bit with people that are kind of abusing what the bus does. Getting these free tokens and asking for 5-6 rides a day when that person could use the community bus. So just an idea, and it doesn't take anything more in our standard operating procedures that we already do, and it actually would make it line up with what we do for other agencies. We do a lot of interdepartment with human services, so that's the only thing I don't like about it, is that human services takes care of their individuals to get passes for work, and they gauge it. They don't just give them out to whoever asks. This is for a certain purpose, why they give these individuals tokens to, 10 a week to work for the 5 days round trip to work and back, stuff like that. So if anybody has ideas on this, but just an idea that the consultant came up with that I don't think is too bad.
So that the number of 10 tokens, is that the baseline for the raise at $10?
No.
It says bulk token purchases. How many?
So just in general, if an agency buys tokens any amount for individuals, that's different than an individual buying tokens for themselves, and maybe that would deter it.
Was that rate $10 a token then?
Because
instead of $3 a token, $3 a ride, it's $10 a token for each ride.
It does sound steep, but that's what has been for 10 years of what agencies are already paying per ride. $10 in town or $15 out of town. That gets billed, that gets tallied up monthly, report is written. Agency, we bill the agency bills the client or whoever's in charge of funding that client's rides. And if it's different than whatever they say, it's 50 rides. They actually had authorization for 40. They pay for 40, stuff like that. But $10 a ride for specialty transportation through agency fare is what we have been doing. This would match that because it is no different when it's an agency paying for that ride, whether it be tokens or just a tally sheet, see what they ran for that month. And so I think it would ruffle some feathers, but it would put it on par with where the other agency fares are at. But there has to be a solution of some sort with, to me, the abuse of the doorstop route to be for people that need it. So if these agencies want to buy tokens in bulk and give them out, like, however they see fit, anybody that walks in and says, I want 10 tokens, that's fine, but it should be on par with where every other agency is paying for. So
I have to agree with you.
and that would deter a little bit from the higher price.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
On when you used to go, I don't even know if you were there at the time, go to these outlying little towns. Do you know how many trips they made a week? Did they go every day?
I can ask. I have one driver that was
Okay.
here during that time, and I could also reach out to Ken,
Okay.
and I can have an answer
I was
next
just
month.
wondering.
Me too.
Yeah.
No, they used to go to Eau Claire daily,
They did.
one time, and then we'd be late, and then not linked. We had it all linked up where we would go to a public transit hub, but then, you know, if our bus was late, then it wouldn't link up at all.
Sure.
So that was a big complaint.
Sure.
Then nobody rode as well. But
I know they used to go to Colfax. I don't know how
Yep.
many other ones they used to. And
That's all that they.
Just
Okay.
Colfax?
I think
Really?
so.
I was just wondering, they went daily or?
I'll have more information on that next month, on the volume and when, and how they did it, and maybe what the fare was.
Sure.
November 16th. I was going to finish my text there, and I thought it'd be a better idea to make a nice drawing for everyone. Car ran a stop sign making a left turn from 6th Ave onto 2nd Street West and said, I did not see the bus there. The bus is just driving down from, yeah, because of the snow. But this bus was on the stout route at about 8 a.m. on November 16th and coming south, and then normally turns left at the fire station, comes up to the clock tower, and this bus or this car is making a left-hand turn here. And it wouldn't have been too bad, but on the side skirt and punctured our air conditioning compressor. But luckily, the other twin bus to this was the one that had the brand new compressor replaced last summer, and this one hasn't. So we'll be working on getting this fixed. But there were a few students on the bus, but all was good. They transferred over to the other bus. We had a bus there in about 8 minutes, and all was good, and we're going through procedures on getting it fixed. Any questions on? Sorry, that was a lot of words in that meeting. I went 10 over my normal 15. But if the information's there, you know, I present it.
I'm curious. You said that some people are misusing it by 5-6 times a day. I mean, is that one token, or I don't understand?
5 tokens.
Oh, do you 5 tokens then?
Every time you get on the bus, it's a token. So
how can they be like misusing it if they're paying for it?
they're not.
Somebody else is paying for it.
Mm-hmm. And you know, originally the doorstop bus, there was disabled and elderly transportation service. And with it becoming a public operation, when it transferred into the commission, it could not be segregative to elderly and disabled. And with that, we're here to transport as many people as we can safely and on time. But what is starting to interfere is we have to start telling people no. But when it's getting abused like this, that's kind of the reason that this is becoming that. The other thing that the consultant said is, you could set up 2 different routes where there is a door-to-door service for anybody like you already have, and then your other doorstop bus, which is called the Red Cedar, could change into it would be elderly and disabled only, and they would have to show something showing that. But there's a lot of administrative and legalities to change it into that. But a lot of good information from them, and in their report, they'll dig deeper into what I just talked about. So I'll have some good information on that.
So how much do you pay that consultant? Is that state paid?
Yeah. We don't pay for them. We do have money in the budget for outside consulting or outside audit annually, but I believe that one is, I've never charged money to that account. I think that somebody in the finance department takes that when we get our annual audit or something in that nature.
Thank you.
Just so I understand that those are getting like tokens for like $3 instead of the $10.
Yeah. So normally a token is the same face value. There's no discount. There's no upcharge. Token is $3. A ride is $3. Okay. Sometimes family members or individuals, they buy tokens in bulk because they don't always carry cash on.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But there's no discount for getting tokens.
And those are $3 a piece.
Yeah,
okay.
A nursing home might buy tokens for their residents and then give them a stipend, weekly or monthly or stuff like that. Mostly individuals just buy them in bulk, so they can keep them in their purse or wallet separately from cash, and they know they got it. So it's a pretty good benefit that way. But then there's agencies that buy them in 50 to 100 a purchase, and
they're only paying the 3. Okay, that's what I was. Yep. And then there's some paying 10.
And nobody's paying 10 for token.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only people paying 10 are agencies, and they've done this for since inception. It's just a higher agency fare. Okay. And in that breakdown of the PowerPoint, 2 other transit agencies do the same thing. When it's a third party doing the payment
okay, I see.
For riders.
Yeah.
Because there's caseworkers that from, let's just say, Inclusa is one we use a lot, or that uses us a lot. iLife and Iris, government entities that set up. They have care workers that provide appointment scheduling, day programs with Reach that we do every day, and then riders get X amount allotted trips a month, up to like, let's say 60 trips a month. If somebody rides twice a day every day, those are the rides that are 10 in town or 15 out of town.
Right. Okay.
Where an agency's being billed monthly and paying for them. To this point, anybody who's still buying tokens but in bulk and they want to get billed still at $3, and I just charged them. I just write up an invoice.
I apologize at my first meeting, but I have to scoot over to a passenger rail commission meeting, which will be great linking up with the bus, but I have to scoot over to that meeting. Thank you for the information, and I will read the rest of the notes from what I miss. Have a good day.
Good. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Nothing else? Consideration, 8. Next meeting is January 11th.
Someplace warm?
I guess we'll officially adjourn and on to highway.
Warm in here.
January 11th might be.
No, it's just, sideways, so you gotta turn your head to run it.
Still recording, correct?
Yep. Yeah, no,
We're still going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll call the highway committee meeting for December 14th to order. Roll call shows that we're all present. Everyone should have had a chance to read the minutes. Are there any questions or motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made in second. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving them say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, public comment. I know of none. None. All right. Item 5, there's none. Start with staff reports. Go ahead.
We'll go into the commissioner report here. I'll pull it up on the TV for most of you. Our agenda today is we'll go through some highway shop operations, the equipment updates, staffing updates, our County Road D project updates, and our highway financials. So our everyday operations, obviously our field operations, like today, we're out there plowing roads as needed. We've had a few of these little snowstorms that still cost money to maintain. If it's gonna snow, we would prefer it to snow instead of this little stuff and rain. We did actually get thunder and lightning last night, from what I was told.
This morning at 5:30, yeah.
So, never good when it's raining in December. So
it was actually snowing at that time when it was happening.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more common theme. It seems like we are doing some mowing operations and brushing along our county roadways, in particular, mostly around bridge structures and drainage structures. We are doing pothole patching as necessary. Obviously, pothole will be filled, and as soon as we get moisture and rain, and it comes right back up. So we have to continually fill those potholes. We did do a project on the interstate with a mastic repair. Mastic repair is basically a very, very, it's a product that has a very, very large amount of oil and aggregate in it. So basically comes in a 30-pound block. You put it in a craft goal or a melter, and it melts it down into a flowable mixture. It's kind of a newer product that some counties are going to. I'm going to actually look at that product ourselves, the possibility of getting machines to apply this mastic. So we rented this machine from Jackson County, who owns the machine for a number of years now. It's more of a permanent solution to fix a pothole or damage repair to concrete and asphalt. So we utilized that, went well. We are looking at trying to rent the machine again shortly here to do some repairs at the 41 off ramps and on ramps.
Is that product set up real fast then?
I was just gonna ask the same thing.
Typically about two hours, depending on temperatures, and it can be utilized all year, winter, summer. Like I said, it's an expensive product, but if you can get 10 years out of filling a pothole, it's well worth it. We've actually gone to some seminars on this type of product in Eau Claire on Highway 93. Vendor did a little demo of it, and the product is still there today, and that was 6 years ago that we went to it. So like I said, it's something we're going to look at in the future. It's not a product you want to go and fill every cross crack and all that. It gets very, very expensive. But if you have a pothole that just keeps reoccurring, it's a good product to have.
Well, how heavy are these blocks?
30-pound blocks.
Really? Huh. You dump one in?
Yep. Just keep dumping them in, and it self-levels itself. So basically, you just pour it out of the pot and self-levels. It's kind of like what I consider it's the asphalt product similar to concrete.
Okay.
So
you can use that on concrete or
yes. Traditionally, it's used in concrete. That's the biggest product use for it. If you got like a spall or something that occurred on a concrete surface, you can put this product in there and yes.
41 on view.
Yes, it's a very a prime example that this product would work great in would be out on B at exit 45. Yeah. Like those traditional cross cracks that are about this wide.
Yeah, they're filling constant.
Yes. Yep. That would be a very, very good solution for that. The Old Galley salt shed has been completed. So that's up, operational. There's salt in it being utilized. We did switch our truck that traditionally came out of Menominee here to maintain Highway 25 and 72 down by south of Menominee. We did switch that truck out of Old Galley shop now. We have materials there, so there's a cost savings for utilization on that. Shop operations, obviously it's a revolving door with routine repair and maintenance of plow trucks. Traditional storm like today, we'll have 3 or 4 trucks in here on a given storm requiring some type of maintenance. If it's fixable, we'll get the truck back out on the job, but sometimes we have to lay it up for a period of time. Routine maintenance and services for some of our summer equipment. We obviously started bringing in some of our dozers, some of our utilization equipment that we utilize in the summer to get the services done, tires put on, get ready for basically next year. We did add some of that polystyrene insulation to our Rock Falls shop to try to improve on some winter heating costs. A square foot cost, that is our most expensive facility to maintain. It's a very small facility. It's basically 2 trucks you can get in it, and it's very tight to get 2 trucks in it. It is a block building that had no insulation in it. So over the years, we've slowly tried to put insulation in it. The heater would constantly be running all day. Even at 55 degrees or 60 degrees in there, it was constantly running. So since this, we put some insulation on the walls and the ceiling, and we'll see the improvements of it.
The insulation?
Basically just that 1-inch polystyrene, that pink that foil back. It cost us, I think it was right around $1,800 to do. Our staff did it internally. Hopefully we can see those cost savings. Here's the picture of the Old Galley salt shed. So that is a 1,000-ton capacity shed. Obviously, this is a unique structure for us. We have never built a hoop style shed. Usually it's always timber structures. But this is the first of its kind in for Dunn County, at least on the highway side. A lot of towns have these. The first one for Dunn County. There is no door on it. There is no end section wall on it. Due to the sheer cost, it was $18,000 to put a door on, and I didn't feel it was necessary at that time. The one downfall to this is that's facing exactly west. So,
Oh, really?
I looked at it as if snow gets in there, there's salt in there. If dirt debris gets in there, it's just salt. We don't have any equipment or anything in there. So,
is that steel framing inside there then?
yes, so there's steel framing on there. The tarp has basically a 20-year expectancy. We have had towns that have had theirs for longer than 20 years and they haven't replaced it.
They've been up there
So
for 20 years.
Hopefully, knock on wood, this one lasts more than that. But traditionally, if it was a timber structure, it has asphalt shingles or whatever, we'd be replacing asphalt shingles, typically after 20 years. But all in all, very nice shed. Approximately $240,000 to build that. So
Really?
it wasn't cheap by any means. Just the structure itself was $190,000, and with yeah, so it's 42 by 80 is what the dimensions of this is. With I believe the height of this is 25 feet tall. Quite tall. There we go. We'll have to get rid of the salt that's in it, though, unless people want to deal with that.
I just push it out.
The unfortunate thing is we got to keep the salt covered, so that's a requirement. Some equipment updates. So obviously we are allowed to use green lights for municipal vehicles now. So I looked at, well, we ordered 3 green light assemblies for our 2 interstate trucks and our 4-lane truck out on Highway 29 to put basically a green light on the front and the back assembly of those 3 trucks, only on the right side. So basically you're going to have amber flashing on the left or amber flashing on the passenger side and green flashing on the driver's side. We thought that was the best beneficial cost to do, just because of the 4 lanes. You're obviously want to see that green light where the drivers are coming at you, or
that was the opposite.
Yeah, so that I just took a picture that
that's fine.
That kind of resembled our truck.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's
since I don't have any that are equipped with it.
That was St. Croix, because I see St. Croix's got the green.
I don't know exactly what they did, but it was a similar situation. Yeah. Once the new 4 trucks we're going to be getting next year are going to have a different light assembly where it'll alternate green and amber on both sides. A lot more expensive. So this was just a retrofit, and we figured those interstate trucks are going to be out on the interstate for a number of years, that we'll just try to switch over and be consistent with other counties around us. So St. Croix, Eau Claire, Chippewa, everybody's doing it in this area. Yeah, so research has been done. Blue is obviously the most visible. Second is green. Obviously, we can't use blue and red just because, yeah, we can use red, but we can't. They won't let us use blue.
Green and yellow in Wisconsin.
Well, we're kind of trying to do a Packer theme with green and gold. That's a good idea. So those will be coming here shortly. It's basically an 8-week delay right now to get those green bulbs or lenses. I think it'd be something simple, but apparently it's not. We are looking at determining some options for our 4 plow trucks. Obviously, we have 4 trucks coming in next year that are on order. We're anticipating them to be here probably in April or May with the truck and chassis. Then they go down to Universal for all the plow equipment and box and hydraulics, all that stuff. So we're looking at probably the fall of next year to get these 4 trucks. With that being said, when 4 trucks are coming in, I want to see 4 trucks leaving at a minimum. So we do have 4 trucks that we have selected to possibly trade in or sell. I did put in our packet here that's labeled 6B. So there's 4 trucks that are approximately 14 years old that are highlighted in red. 147, 148, 149, and 151. If you look at the, what I look at is on the very far right-hand side, gains and losses. We've lost money on these trucks. Approximately any ranging from $9,000 to $18,000 we lost last year, just on these trucks based on the amount of maintenance costs that we've put into these. The depreciation, I have to look into how that whole depreciation value works. Because obviously if you look at that, on 147, we have $18,000 worth of depreciation on that truck in 1 year. So I don't know how that's determined. I'm looking into that currently. But those are the 4 trucks that we are looking at trying to get rid of with either trading or selling. We did have International give us a price on these 4 trucks for a trade-in value. They ranged from $60,000 to $65,000 for these trucks. Per truck. Looking at some of the costs for auctions for a similar truck, I was getting ranges from $40,000 to $70,000 on Wisconsin surplus. I guess what I would love to do, and I'd like to just get your approval, not approval, but just your backing on it. But what I was thinking about doing is putting one of these trucks on an auction site. And we would have a reserve on it. And if we do not meet that reserve, we do not need to sell it. I just want to make sure that we are getting the most bang for our buck for these trucks. If we can get $65,000 and they were offering us $60,000, hey, we made $5,000 on it.
So how much does a brand new truck cost without the box and the wings and the plow in it?
So just the truck and chassis is $148,000. That's what our truck was. These 4 trucks that we just got or are getting next year. You got $148,000 just in the truck and chassis, and you almost got that just in the plow equipment. So it's almost $300,000 for a truck now. Fully assembled.
Selling all 4 of these at $65,000 would replace most of one, probably.
Yeah.
What years are these?
So a few of them are 2008s, right around the 2008 to 2009 range.
Okay.
Are they one of the oldest ones then?
Not necessarily the oldest ones, but these are the ones that we still have on a plow route that are being utilized. And obviously, based on our utilization costs, we're losing money on it. We're not making enough based on the amount of money we're sticking back into it.
So how many extra trucks do you have, like for today when you're out plowing, in case one goes down? Do you have like
we have approximately about six to seven trucks that are on backup.
Okay.
3 of them are in the shop.
And right now I counted 3 of them that are in the shop.
Yeah.
So there's probably 3 that are still on reserve yet. But that's what I'd like to do is, like I said, talking to Dan, our shop foreman, and I think what we were looking at is maybe putting that 147 on the auction site just to see what it gets on Wisconsin surplus.
Well, see what happens.
We can put a reserve on it, and doesn't get the reserve, then
So International will keep that $60,000 price for a while, or?
yeah. So they have given us that price till when the new truck and chassis are on the lot.
Yeah. Good idea.
So obviously, if we get in a wreck and total the thing or whatever, then it's null and void. I mean, they're not going to cut us a check. They're just going to reduce their cost of the trade-in. Yeah, like I said, it doesn't hurt.
I'm looking at the gain and loss, and I know you're working on how that number appears, I'm assuming, right?
The depreciation is the number that, yes.
Sorry.
Yep.
So, you know, you factor in that these obviously are units that are costing you a lot of money, you know, to fix or whatever. So what's happening to them must be fairly significant in man hours or parts or whatever.
Yes.
So if you factor that back into the trade-in value or whatever, you take that off of there. That's
correct.
That started making that truck more like a $70,000 to $80,000, right?
So right now, and I don't.
Is that how you factor it? I'm just asking. I mean, that's got to be part of the equation, or is part of the equation.
Yeah. So the way that depreciation it works out is obviously if that vehicle, we have $250,000 value of that vehicle.
Yeah.
Over a 12-year lifespan, that's what they're taking into. It's a formula. That's how that depreciation is calculated.
Yeah, I misspoke on the depreciation.
And that's why I've said
more the gain and the loss. You know?
And that's why I've said is if you depreciate a vehicle out, you're only making money on it.
Oh yeah.
We're not trying to recoup the depreciation value, but it looks that way, but it's not the case. But obviously you can just look at some of these same type of style of trucks like 171 to 177. We're losing money on it because of the depreciation. And those are newer trucks, and the depreciation costs are a lot different than the older trucks. So obviously some of these things, when you look at your tires and batteries and all that stuff, that's common. I don't care if you got a new truck or you got a 30-year-old truck, you're still going to put that in there. The biggest problem that we do have is our emission controls. That's the biggest problem with any one of our trucks. That's why a lot of these trucks that you see with these higher costs of the parts and stuff and the overhead and the labor is all due to a lot of that emissions.
When did DEF start?
Was right around that mid 2000s. So like
does all your trucks have that too?
Yeah. Majority of them.
Aren't they kind of going away from it a little bit now?
See, I got a 2010 Freightliner. It doesn't have DEF. Why is that? It's got to be regen every year, but
yep. Every one of these is you got DEF.
Huh.
The only ones that are pre-emissions that I know of here are we have four triaxles that are over 15 years old that I know are pre-emissions. We have elected to keep those because those are our backup spare trucks, and due to that emission. Like I said, it's typically a revolving door with a lot of this equipment. And we try to make revenue as much as we can, but I know in 2021, where these numbers are based on, we lost money on our equipment based on the cost and keep them and maintain them. So the last piece of information on here is our crushing equipment update. So myself, our shop foreman, and our patrol superintendent, we had a meeting with Airing Equipment. So Airing Equipment is a company based out of Eau Claire that sells crushing equipment. So we approached them to see about the possibility of purchasing or trading in our crushing equipment to see what value we would be looking at. So I did present that previously. They kind of gave us a cost of what that equipment would be. They have basically told us if they were to cut a check, they would cut a check for about $450,000 for the whole, every piece of equipment we have for crushing operation. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that's a lowball offer. Right now, they value all of that equipment to be about $750,000, and they've only give us $450,000. We did request the possibility of what type of trade value we would get off of this equipment with equipment needs that we have, such as loaders, dozers, something that we can put to use that we need. Like I said, a lot of our outline shop loaders are 25 plus years old, and they need to be updated at some point in time. So they're going to provide that information. They were actually going to have it to me before the meeting, but obviously that didn't happen at this point in time. But we're looking at exploring that. I've also explored the option of selling it outright. Basically, we would put it out, not on an auction site, but we would send it off to companies around here, advertise it, have sealed bids. We'd have a reserve on it. Like I said, if we've had a lot of local contractors that have expressed it. So if we can kind of cut the middleman out, I think that would be the best option right now for Dunn County. But we are looking at, like I said, exploring options of possibly trading it in for other pieces of equipment that we have needs for, or selling it outright at our own. This type of equipment is a very, very tough piece of equipment to sell on an auction site. So putting it on like Wisconsin surplus, I think would be very, very difficult, and I don't think we would get a lot of value in it. So that's why I was looking at the possibility of exploring that option of selling it outright, and maybe advertise it and calling around the local contractors and whatnot. That's what we're exploring right now. I'll have more information probably at our January. I get more information from Harry, but we'll see what happens.
Gary, you don't need a crusher.
No.
I know some farms that could use a rock.
There's a lot of potholes on farms.
Hard heads in the field.
You're supposed to get kids out there to pick all that out of there. Highway staffing. So obviously we have posted currently the assistant highway commissioner position. So that was the vacated position from our engineer who resigned. Basically it is the engineer position, but just a different work title. So that closes December 18th, which is, I think it's Sunday at midnight. I looked yesterday and we had one applicant. So this is a very, very hard position to fill. I don't see the applicants until it closes, so I don't know if they're qualified or not. So
is it HR itself that'll do the interviewing, or how is that?
It hasn't been discussed yet, but I was thinking to myself the possibility of myself, HR, Chris wants to be included with it, and maybe an individual, maybe you would like to step in and on it. Anybody from the committee.
That's fine. Yeah.
So
I just got to work with. I was just wondering.
I like input though, so not just every
But I mean,
decisions
you can
on
select
me.
whatever form of an interview.
Yes. But definitely I'd like to have somebody from HR just because they can answer some questions regarding some benefits and all that stuff. A lot better than I can.
Is there any electric downfall? Do you have somebody that graduated in the spring, or do you want them in spring? You know,
So what we're requiring for this position is 3 years experience.
Okay.
Preferred is what we're preferred. I understand we're not gonna get somebody that is gonna hit the ground running and know everything unless they come from a different county, or entity like that. But having an engineering background or type project construction management, is key to this role. That's what we're looking for. It's a difficult process right now to find employees.
Do you have anybody?
Based on our requirements for education and background experience, no. So it does require a 4-year bachelor's degree in engineering or project construction management. We can look at, if we don't have any candidates, we can look at reposting it and redoing something for qualifications.
But do you have some employees that are actually doing that type of work right now, but not with that education?
No.
So with a couple of the degree programs at Stout that are very much in line with what you're looking for, in your staffing for this position, their construction management and stuff. Has anybody ever explored the possibility of utilizing like co-op position? Not to run probably the department, because again, you'd be getting inexperienced people, but to supplement staff at a probably lesser cost than to go out and try to,
So we were exploring, and I was exploring the possibility of trying to get summer intern, like a work study type of thing, or trying to get somebody that's in that field to try to come in and work for the summer. We traditionally haven't done that on the engineering, or traditionally it's always on the field side. So we will hire 6 to 10 summer help
labor
students.
Basically.
So we were looking at exploring that to try to bring in somebody here and maybe get their foot in the door and see how they work out. And maybe once they graduate, we could explore that. The problem is a lot of times is we don't really have a position to fill but we could look at getting some type of labor for cheaper cost. Yes.
Well, I just know the process of Stout is that, one of the reasons their job placement rate is so high is because kids have what Gary was mentioning, they have work experience. They've been out in the field and dabbled in this and dabbled in different directions of their chosen profession, So typically when you hear the word construction, you think structure, building a structure, you know what I mean? And so this would be a different route, in the more in the management side, not the labor side.
Correct.
So I don't know. I mean, just something to maybe explore or something, and you might be able to find some cheaper help.
I think that'd be a great idea. And plus, if you had an intern, maybe had a job 2 or 3 years down the road, he said, hey, I like working at some of there. That might be easy to get somebody to come back in later on.
Right. Yeah, you build a network, and I just know a couple different things that I'm involved with. We've used kids from Stout, that are. The reason is because they're more invested in it because it's their education, it's what their interest is, and if you're looking for labor on the farm and you go hire an athlete that would rather be training and stuff, they're not going to work hard for you, right? So, but if you can find somebody who's in the world of ag that wants to grow themselves and they're going to dig in and put more time and effort in. I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does. I agree.
Yep. No, like I said, we'll see what happens here on the closing date.
You probably need something else to be doing anyway, checking into insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always helps.
Put Brent on it. Brent.
So project updates. So the County Road B project, and so obviously these are 2 different projects. Our County Road B South project. So we submitted a change management request to WISDOT for a project extension for funding. Obviously, the B project has got federal and state grant money included with it. That sunsets in fiscal year 2024, which it has to be completed before July 1st of 2024. So with that project, the extent of it, we would have to do it in 2023. Just it's going to take all year to do this project. From May to November is basically what it's anticipated. So we wouldn't have the ability to do it in 24. Obviously, I explained the situation with the whole railroad debacle. So that is the reason why we have requested an extension. I did get confirmation yesterday from the DOT that no decision has been made at this time. So we are waiting on that. I guess I'm optimistic, but I'm not going to say they're going to give us an extension. So if they don't, we're going to have to determine what we're going to do in a very, very short time, because this was scheduled for a February 4th letting for a contractor to basically bid on the project. So we're hoping to hear some more information here shortly. But we're waiting on the DOT to make that determination.
And that would require.
So the traffic control plan would have to be re-engineered, where we're going to cross traffic over. As of right now, like I said, it's up in the air. We're planning like it's happening in 23, but we don't know until we get that confirmation from the DOT. Talking to DOT staff, some are optimistic that they think it's a no-brainer, that the state will do it, and the next one says that's a lot of money to shuffle around. So on the DOT's standpoint, if this project is $6.5 million, they have to take a project that was in 2024 and shift it into 23. So they got to have the same dollar amounts, 6.5, 6.5. So there's not a lot of projects that I'm thinking that were at that significant cost in 2024 schedule that they can move up into 23. But who knows? We'll see what happens. The County Road B North, we were pretty much going to delay this project to 2024. I did talk to the DOT yesterday on the phone, who oversee the whole railroad configuration. They basically said, let's just continue going forward like it's going to happen in 23. And wait and make a determination on this whole B North phase until we see what happens with the South phase. We have not mentioned anything to the railroad at this point in time. Hopefully they're not listening to our conversation here. But we have explored, obviously, the possibility of extending this into 2024. We have not told them that, so they continue doing what they're doing. So if we tell them it delays till 24, they may stop what they're doing and pick it up. They're going to delay it then. Right. So we don't want that to happen. So we're making it look like we're continuing and going to do construction in 23. And right now everything's planned to be done in 23. It's just we're making the determination once we hear from the change management request.
That's the county portion of it, though. If we delay it a year,
we won't know that. Obviously, project costs we are traditionally go up; they don't go down. So we're gonna have to figure that out at some point in time. Like I said, right now it's the south phase is 2.5, and the north phase is right around that 2.5, and that could all go up. Did get a confirmation that our B North phase is going to go up. The Commissioner of Railroads, who basically is, oversees all coordination between DOT and railroad coordination, made a determination that locally Dunn County is on the hook for a portion of this railroad crossing upgrade. In 2018, it was estimated to cost $540,000 to do this signal upgrade at the railroad. Right now, I would probably beg to say there's 20% of that cost we would have to pay locally, based on their determination. So there was the OCR, which is the Commissioner of Railroads, made a determination that the supports for the cross arms, the lighting that are at the railroad are the railroad's responsibility. There is one that is for a turn lane that got added from 2018 to 2022 based on the design. That's our cost. What that cost is, I don't know, because that's above and beyond that $540,000 cost. So
That turn lane, is that turn lane there because of how you get in and out of those two truck stops there?
So there's
Senate or whatever.
So due to the turn lanes are basically going to be offset, so you can pull into a turn lane and you can see around the vehicle. So a lot of times, a lot of them they're straight on from each other. Yeah. You kind of get a hidden vehicle behind it. So they're going to be offset, so it's widening it. So with their configuration, you have to have another signal in that turn lane because it got wider.
So I guess my question was, is you know, if you rerouted how to get in and out of the business, is there a need for that turn lane then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's going to have to be a turn lane southbound or northbound, regardless.
Yep.
So
I can't answer that.
But like I said, right now, we're hoping to get as much information as we can to make a determination here shortly. But right now, we're going ahead that it's happening in 23, and the railroad's doing everything they can to try to make it happen in 23. Like I said, it's not as simple as I mentioned that before. If we do shut this railroad down, the crossing on B, once it's shut down, the railroad has the decision to open it back up, not the county. So if we shut it down for their work, it could be B could be shut down for years before the railroad could open it back up or say it's open to traffic.
I think they also say, I mean, minimally, the entire project has to be finished.
Really?
I wonder where they would like reroute their trains, and that's the main line.
It's not the trains, it's the traffic on B that would be affected. Not the train.
Not the train, just the traffic.
The trains can keep on going.
Yeah, once
they're done with their.
Once they do their portion of their track, and if they have to shut it down, they make the determination on when it's open.
Oh.
Not the county.
And the road is open.
Yeah, the road, not the railroad. So the DOT did express that is a concern. So you may not want to say we're gonna shut B down for the duration of the project, because it could be shut down for if the railroad's waiting for a signal or waiting for a connection in their interconnect pull box. Until they get that put in, that crossing will be shut down.
There'll be a lot of traffic in Russ, won't there?
Which we don't want that to happen, because that's not a good road for a detour at this point in time. I said that quietly.
You got to fertilize and feed mill, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all done with farming.
That's true. Well, Dunn County is. We're not letting that bid out in
As of right now, it's on hold. So the north phase is on hold for any let, because that's our local let. we determine on when we can let that. And it was supposed to be at the end of January. We were going to put it 2 weeks ahead of the east south phase, just so we would hope to get the same contractor to do both when they see both projects at the same time.
So Dunn County is doing none of it.
It's all contracted.
Yeah. So why do you have to have like a different traffic plan?
The way
added more.
So the way that this is, so since there's two phases here, 2 projects, in a perfect situation, our traffic control would be, we would shut the northbound lanes down north of the railroad tracks and at 12. So we would be able to get the traffic switched over. Well, now that if one project gets shut down, now our crossover doesn't happen north of the railroad tracks. Okay, it may happen south of the interstate. It's going to get goofy. So everything's designed right now to have it shut down north of the railroad tracks and at 12. And all that cost is being put on the south project. So that's an 80-20 match, that portion. Now, if that gets separated, split, that's where the design cost may go increase, because now we got to try to find a different way of switching traffic over.
So this road out here is going to get rid of it.
Possibly.
Local. Well, I would think, some of the businesses out that way.
I'd love to see the traffic slow down on B and have less traffic. If they want to use alternate routes, go ahead. I'll make that known. That's all that they want to do. So
I think that.
So basically, wait and see.
We're still at a wait and see. Like I said, I put in here that we were delaying the project to 2024. I kind of, like I said, got the cart in front of the horse on that. Speaking with the DOT, we're gonna wait and see yet, and make a determination once we know with this change management request. And we do have more meetings scheduled here in the next couple of weeks with the railroad again. Just to see the progress that's happening there. And I have requested a breakdown from the DOT on what additional cost is going to be with this railroad crossing, based on the Commissioner of Railroad's determination. So it's yet to come. The last slide here I don't have. I for some reason deleted it. But the financials. So in your packet, I provided our highway financials through the end of November, which is labeled that 6E. The one thing I will highlight, obviously, is our budget versus projected. As you can see that in the far right corner there, we're anticipating approximately $2.7 million budget surplus for highway this year. Looking at a lot of this is our construction costs and our maintenance costs. So looking into our original budget, if you look at the page 2 versus our expenses, page 2, our construction cost is $4.1 million is what we had budgeted for county construction, and we've only spent $2.8 million of the 4.1. So there was a project on Q&W that we were budgeting for in 2022 that did not happen. That's just south of Downing. So the reason that got delayed is that was engineered to redo the intersection at Q&W. It was a T configuration, and we wanted to make a curve in there to make it safer. So we were planning on doing it. We had some delays due to some design issues and real estate acquisitions and how it was going to affect the landowners. So we kind of put it on hold and did a redesign on it, which Cedar Core is doing the design, and they're actually bringing it here today, so we can try to start getting real estate acquisitions and all that stuff to carry this project into 2023. So there will be some funds that will be coming out of this that we are going to carry over into 23 to complete that Q&W project that was supposed to happen this year. Approximately $700,000 is what was allocated to that project on Q&W. We did make a determination that what was budgeted in our county construction is we have labor, we have equipment, and we have materials that made up that $4.1 million. Well, since we own the equipment, we can't charge ourselves for it. But that cost is included in that $4.1 million. So a typical rule of thumb, if we have a project, 60% of it is usually materials, 20% is labor, and 20% is equipment costs. So that 20% of these equipment costs in our construction projects was included in that $4.1 million, which we don't charge ourselves, but it's in there. So that's why, yes, we can charge the state and we can charge the towns an hourly rate for our equipment, but we can't charge ourselves for that.
But can't that money be taken out and then used like for purchasing like new equipment? You've already got it spoken for, and this...
Well, that money is accounted for capital construction, which to utilize it for equipment costs or something, that's more of a financial question. I don't believe we can do that.
Well, I think what we're sorting out that exact question, because I think one stream of thought is the financials are complicated, so I sort of speak tentatively, but one idea is it's essentially the rent of the equipment, and that should technically be profit of the highway department. So it should go into a segregated fund. Essentially, should go to their fund balance,
right?
As their profit.
And that's what our fund balance is utilized for, is equipment.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That's where all of our equipment revenue, basically, to purchase new equipment.
So still making it back, be invested in new equipment.
So as it currently exists, as I understand it, let's say that at the end of the year, the highway department ended up with a $2.7 million surplus. That would transition to their fund balance. What's vulnerable about that is if in November and December you have a really crappy weather year, we haven't really segregated profit from the operational, the kind of the maintenance cost. And so if you just automatically say everything that's left over transfers to the highway department's fund balance, not really an accurate representation of the operations from the year, because there was a profit in one area and a loss in another area. Now, we ultimately could decide we need to use some of that fund balance to pay the overage in highway, but it's another, or in highway maintenance, but it's another step of the process to make it clear where the money's coming in, where the money's going out, versus just it's all one big.
Because if you postpone a project, that money is actually already spoken for. That's part of that.
Correct.
Right. And that's going to be used automatically, hopefully.
Yeah, so that's why we're looking at carrying forward the money that's allocated for that Q&W into next year.
And not in the fund balance.
Well, it'll still be going in the fund balance, but we would separate that from our maintenance and operational costs versus our fund balance equipment costs or whatever, right? That's why that number is very, very large. If you look at our two biggest costs, is our county maintenance and our county construction costs. So all of our equipment costs are in there, and technically they shouldn't be. So the only thing we should be charging is our labor and our materials. But our hourly rates to do that we charge the state and the town is reflected in these budgetary costs that we charged ourselves to run that piece of equipment. There is counties that do levy for equipment. So they will levy a portion of money that they set aside for equipment costs. it's kind of a weird situation because I'm so used to running a business where you charge for your labor, you charge for your equipment, and you charge for the materials that you utilize. So we as the county are still utilizing this equipment. But we're not really charging for it ourselves for the upkeep. The only thing that we can make a potential, I don't want to say a profit, but how we generate excess revenue is from the state and the local, not on ourselves. So it's like, okay, so if we take the state and the towns out of the equation, how do we generate any revenue for our equipment?
So has this
that's
been
the difficult part.
Has this been done in the years past too?
Years ago, as I understand it was set up. I think, at least potentially, it's part of what resulted in the depletion of funding.
Okay.
Because everything that was budgeted for was spent, but in reality, a portion of that wasn't really spendable. It was our expense of our equipment to ourselves.
Kind of makes sense.
Yes.
So, do the rules of the state and the government, county rules allow us to make a decision to start charging ourselves to use our equipment?
There's no revenue. Our revenue source is us.
Right.
That's
well, I know that, but yeah. I mean, if they're already managing the money,
is there money you could set aside for it? Yes, but
you're already doing that anyway. Projected maintenance.
Typically, like I said,
But like you said, some counties do make a decision to actually levy equipment costs.
Yes.
That kind of assists there for replacements and.
Correct. Yeah, they'll set aside maybe $500,000 of levy money that they wouldn't put towards county construction or maintenance, and put it in that pot for equipment use, for purchasing. So right now, we're not doing that per se, but that's kind of what this is there was we were charging ourselves to run our equipment that was allocated in this budget. So that's why you're seeing this very large number is, and that's where I get nervous is, like I said, all of a sudden I'm asking for more money next year and we didn't utilize it. So everybody's going to come back to me as like, well, why are you asking for more money?
Well, there's a reason for it. For one, you're going to use some of it.
Yes.
Next year in the Q and W, but
so the budget for next year is a little bit different than this year because a majority of our construction costs is contract. So that's money we have to set aside. We're not charging ourselves. We're not right. So if it's $6.5 million, we have to have $6.5 million sitting there for a contractor to pay that contractor. Versus us, we're doing our own work. Well, we're only charging ourselves labor. We're putting labor and material costs into that only. We're not charging ourselves, but
we're projecting at almost 150.
Yeah.
Your turnover has been of a financial benefit. Might not be from an operational benefit,
right?
But from a financial benefit. Correct.
Yeah. So, like I said, my salary versus the previous commissioner, that was the difference. I mean, there's a lot of
vacancy.
Our engineer vacancy right now is we've allocated for it and not paying it.
Right.
So if you say it's $2.7 million and a roughly $700 million is that a project that's carried forward and
$700,000. Yeah.
$500,000 of that salary and fringe. There's 1.2. There's almost half of it.
Correct. And that's what I was saying is that the construction maintenance and the county maintenance and county construction and our admin, those are the three pots where you're seeing a big difference. So and like I said, a lot of it is due to that equipment costs that were allocated in that budget.
And it was a mild winter last year, and it's been a mild fall. So I mean, both of those. I don't know what it costs to plow one snowstorm, but
this snowstorm, I'll bet you will be about $50,000.
Right. in 2 or 3 more of those and even a larger storm, and all of a sudden you have another $100,000.
Yeah, the winter maintenance is one that you have no control over. Like I said, the last 2 years we were using right around that $1 million for winter maintenance. Well, the previous year before that it was 1.9. So I mean, it can fluctuate that much, just in 1 year. Knock on wood, we had a pretty mild winter. I mean, it's hard to. So our budget for winter maintenance started in January. So we got January, February, and typically March of before the summer. And now we got October, November, December. So it's like, well, those costs that we did in January, February, and March are there. When we say winter's been mild, we look at what's happening today, not 6 months ago.
Yeah, snow didn't fall on weekends last year either.
Correct.
I mean, that helps out. Yep. Well, this is better than what we actually thought was a good problem to have.
And we were, and like I said, we were projecting the entire year right around that $400,000 to $500,000, but that's based on our current spending pattern that we were utilizing for. It's hard to project a lot of this stuff. It really is. I mean, I've told Sarah and Beata that it's difficult. I mean, you can't really look at our spending habits because all of a sudden in September and October, we'll get $1 million worth of invoices from Monarch for asphalt. But the previous five months, we didn't spend anything in our construction. So it's very difficult to project that.
Monthly expenses vary so high.
Correct. Yeah, it's up and down. But like I said, I wanted to present that because I know that's the big number, and I know that's going to be the word on the street.
Well, you can explain it real simple.
Highway didn't spend their money.
Only measure doesn't take it away from us.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, that's the key there.
Yeah.
Well, in all honesty, given the state of the fund balance, which now sits at about $600,000, there's nothing, if in a time of financial stability, which we're in, this is a good time to have that problem and let that be fund balance so that it's back up to something that's more, if you think about those ratios that get presented when they do the audit and where they'd like the ratio of balance and operations to be, we were quite a distance from that, and this will help that.
It will.
And obviously that 2.7 is currently projected. That's not set in stone. Like I said, we could spend $500,000 yet next couple weeks ago, weather permitting, but which we don't want to do. But like I said, I just wanted to explain that to you so you know where I'm coming from when I get asked questions. That's it for my commissioner report. I don't know if there was any questions that you had.
You got any questions for Dustin? Any other ones? Hearing none, we'll move on to number 7. Approval of vouchers. Anybody have any questions on the vouchers? Anything they want to explain?
Move we approve.
Second. Motion made and second to approve the vouchers. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. 2023 WISDOT routine maintenance agreement.
So what's labeled 7B in your packet is our annual routine maintenance agreement breakdown that the DOT, basically we contract with the DOT for 2023. So they have everything broke down, what they have allocated costs to. So obviously the big one is typically your winter maintenance costs, as well as your routine asphalt repairs such as pothole patching and all that. With an expense totaling approximately $2 million, which is status quo from previous. It has not increased, has not decreased. That is what the DOT has allocated. So obviously this would be included with our budget that we would be looking at a potential just over $2 million worth of revenue, from the DOT, to contract with, providing services on the DOT roads. So like I said, status quo is the same number as 2022. Nothing has changed. So I'm looking at approval.
So do you have a similar agreement with the federal for like 94? Because it's yours for like 29.
So that 94 is all through with this.
Oh,
it's all through the state.
I thought it'd be a federal. The state.
No. Yep, everything's with the DOT.
Anybody have any questions on it? I guess I have one. Did they set it or do you?
They set it.
Just like that, no matter what.
They set it, and you can say yes or no to it.
Really?
I don't know of anybody that says no.
Huh. You have no input.
We have none. I mean, so obviously the commissioners, all 72 counties, we get together and have meetings and stuff like that. And obviously the DOT is aware of it, that they haven't kept up with the cost to do it. So their expectations is we're going to do less. We'll do less maintenance, and all right. So they're trying to put more money into redoing roads, like pulverized repaving, mill and overlays, instead of your traditional crack fill, shoulder maintenance, all that. They just want to let the road seem to go far enough where they just redo it. So,
well, does your group like lobby it at all? I mean, your commissioner's group, you got somebody down there that's
correct,
trying to get their ear?
Yep. So the Wisconsin County Highway Association is comprised of board members, and they lobby for it. Like I said, they have some control. We as the county have some control, but not a lot. When it comes to the money, just isn't there. They're putting less money into maintenance and more money into construction. So,
okay, motion to approve the routine maintenance agreement. Scott?
I'll make that motion.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. County D, CP Rural Geotechnical Contract.
So this project is a SPP project. So this is an 80-20 project, which is on County Road D by Irvington. So basically from Irvington to K. It's currently scheduled for 2025 construction. So AIRS has contracted with a contractor to do some geotechnical exploration of what type of road bases are in there, stability for our soils and stuff like that. Much needed work on that hill. I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with that Irvington Hill, but there's some steep banks there. We're trying to minimize as much excavating work as we can. So we're going to put more money into our upfront geotechnical determination on what's stable and what's not. Can we get away with one-to-one slopes? If it's more rocky, so that's what we're looking at trying to do. These costs are not included with the 80-20 split. This would be cost that is basically 100% local costs, above and beyond the SPP contract. So we're looking at approximately a $21,245 contract amount, which is on attachment C. I don't know how to, on page 1 of 2, but
1 of 2?
They're all like that.
1 of 1, 1 of 3.
On the very top, you'll see attachment C.
Okay. In the value.
So it's basically a breakdown. So AIRS would be paid $6,000 for their services to do all the construction staking for this work. All the data analysis that they would do above and beyond our design contract. The Intertech PCI would be the contractor that would perform the geotechnical field work. So basically their drill rig would come out there and do all the drilling, make all the determination. Like I said, I believe it is much needed. I think the cost to do this is going to be more upfront, but save us money on the back end. where we can determine if we can get away with, instead of doing 3-to-1 slopes where we got to purchase right away, and we get away with a 1-to-1 slope. So like I said, these costs will be made up with less construction costs. So like I said, right now the contract is at $21,245 to perform this work, and like I said, we have to do it regardless. It's an additional cost to our original design contract. It's an 80-20 match, so this is all local.
Okay. Any other questions on it? Motion to approve this? Is in order? Motion been made, is there a second? Second. Motion been made and second to approve the SPP rural geotechnical contract. Any? No, I guess there was no other questions. So all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Tandem axle universal equipment contract review.
So I provided in your packet 7D. So we originally approved universal truck equipment. This committee approved that contract to outfit the 4 plow trucks that are scheduled for 2023. We did have a revision to the original contract. One is due to the amber and green light package that we originally did not spec in our proposal. To increase to put the green and amber lighting package in that meets the DOT standards. So Wisconsin has a minimum standard now for these green and yellow packages. Like I said, it'll be green, amber flashing on both sides of the truck, front and rear. So to do that lighting package, it's an increased cost of $1,585 per truck to have basically a different color. I guess it costs more to make green lights. That's all I can tell you at this point in time. And then we did have an increased cost. We did a reconfiguration of the box configuration. So it's a asphalt tail is what they call it. So our intent is these are tandem axle trucks, but we can remove the underbody and put a peg axle in, so we can use them as tri-axles in the summertime as needed. So they're not just sitting in the back room collecting dust. So to do that, we put an asphalt tail on the box, so it'll be sloped. So when you raise the box, it's not going to hit the paver instead of having it straight up. So that was an additional cost to put a different box configuration of $596. So the original contract was that $139,572, as you can see. I had it.
It takes a long way to get done.
We'll wait for you, Gary.
No, that's okay. I can listen.
Here.
No.
Look at mine.
But so the original contract was $139,572 with universal equipment. With these additional costs, it would be $141,753. Like I said, the original cost for just the truck and chassis is $148,000 from International. Now we add $141,000 for the plow equipment, so you're at $290,000 for a plow truck. We're not putting anything fancy on it; it's just a standard plow truck. But we're in that world. But as you can see, if we do the 141, it's still cheaper than what Indian had quoted us. So I guess I'd make the recommendation that we approve the revision of the tandem axle truck bids with universal truck equipment.
A motion to that effect. Motion made. Second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Rubberized sealant material. Winter purchase.
So obviously costs are going up, what we're anticipating. So I was looking at possibly purchasing some rubberized sealant for our crack filling procedures that we would do in the springtime of the year. We have the ability to do a winter purchase. So basically the materials they have sitting in a warehouse ready to be shipped. They are giving us potential cost savings by doing this. Instead of bidding it out here in the spring, we could be seeing 10 cents per pound increase, which I'm guessing is going to happen based on the three costs that we got from the suppliers. Obviously, the cost for Conrad materials at 73 cents a pound is 11 cents higher than Mid-States. So I'm assuming that's going to be the growing trend. What we're going to be seeing here in spring is right around that 75 cents a pound.
Basically all the same product though?
It's not all the same product, so they're different manufacturers. So there's a Deary block, a Craftco block, and then a WR Meadows. Yes, it all meets the DOT spec. So we currently have WR Meadows in supply in our back, what we call our White House, which is our cold storage. We did end up buying a half a truckload at the end of the year, and to utilize on some town roads that came up at the end of the year that some of the towns wanted us to do. We ran out of material and we had to buy it. It doesn't go bad. So I guess what I would be looking at trying to do is we would purchase this material now. It would be put on our 2023 budget. You don't have to pay for it until 2023. So Mid-States, who has the low bid here, has said, we'll ship it to you tomorrow. You don't have to pay for it until after the first of the year.
They want to move it now, huh?
Yes.
They
want to get it out of their stock and
Sure.
get new stock in.
Sure.
It's all stuff it has a shelf life on it, but it is still within its shelf life. It was just put together product was last year. 30-pound block.
Oh, that's that 30-pound block.
Yeah. So this is a similar product than what I was talking about, that mastic product. This is flexible. So this is what you see, what we fill our crack fill all of our county and state and town roads with, that you'll see every crack is usually filled with this material.
And for 4,500 pounds is what you're projecting.
So a full semi load is 45,000 pounds. So when we order it, we always want to buy a full semi load. Sure. The cost that we had locked in with WR Meadows this year, and we don't lock it in for a full year. We lock it in for basically each purchase. So in 2022, with our last purchase, it was 58 cents a pound. So it went up 4 cents from literally August today. So we're envisioning it to probably go up another 10 cents. So it's a typical salesman. They're pressing to tell us most bang for your buck right now is buy it. Buy it now. And I think that's our best solution. We got to buy it regardless.
We got to put it in the store.
Yes. We buy it now or we buy it in the spring and it could be 10 cents a pound more. We don't know. Mid-States has told us, Conrad has told us, Sherwin-Williams or Sherwin Industries has both said it's probably going to go up. What it is, nobody knows.
You've worked with Mid-States before, evidently.
So we just purchased this last go around from Mid-States. Yeah. That was the first time we've ever purchased from them.
Oh, really?
St. Croix, a lot of counties around us have. They have no problem with the product. So I guess that would be my recommendation is we proceed with purchasing 45,000 pounds of material, which is semi-load for Mid-States at that 62 cents per pound. And then I will be putting that on the 2023 budget for materials after the first of the year.
Okay.
I move we approve the Mid-States semi. Second.
Any other questions on it? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Highway mailbox policy.
We've always had this policy, but I can never find it written in stone. It's something we've always had verbally, that if an individual calls in and says, your plow took out my mailbox. in this policy is exactly what I would beg to say 90% of the counties do. They actually have theirs written in stone where ours was never written in stone. So basically what the policy states is any mailbox within the road right of way, state, county, town, whatever, if our plow truck physically hits it, like physically the wing plow, the truck physically touches that mailbox and breaks it and swings it off into the ditch, we will repair or replace with a standard mailbox. Not going to be putting in if they got their big rubberized, Rubbermaid, whatever the heck those things are that are plastic. We're not going to do that. We will be putting in a 4x4 wooden post with a standard mailbox. If snow or ice physically takes the mailbox off, we will not do anything with it. So we will make that determination. Typically, we can see if a plow ran the thing over. You can see tracks, you can see damage of some sort. There's probably gonna be nothing left of the mailbox. I'll just say that.
But I've seen like on Highway B, there's a few mailboxes, they have a little protector in front of it.
Yes.
So maybe that's, we've had a bad experience before.
Exactly.
This is what's known today.
And we do get a lot of complaints that, well, your plow truck driver was deliberately doing it, yada, yada. They're not, that's not their intent. There is times where our plow truck drivers, they have to slow down. If it's wet, heavy snow, they see a mailbox, you slow down. You're not just taking everyone out that you go by.
Yeah,
I mean, if it was deliberate, we would have everyone gone in the county. I can tell you that.
That's still a long ways away. Like when you're in the driver's seat, the mailbox is right there. How close you want to get as close as you can.
So yeah, and traditionally, if they're installed correctly, a wing will be able to go right underneath it without hitting it. So traditionally.
Didn't realize that.
Okay. But that's not to say the snow won't take it.
No, right.
But I hate to say it, but there are some mailboxes that are just complete garbage. Yeah. They're held up with duct tape and binder twine. And
They can't afford to replace them after every time them guys deliberately hit them.
Maybe, I don't know.
No, I'm kidding.
But like I said, I just wanted to have a set in stone policy that I can say, okay, the highway committee approved that this is our policy, that we're not replacing every mailbox that gets hit with snow. And like I said, we did have this last snowstorm prior to this one. There was a plow route that we had, I think, 11 mailboxes down. So we made a determination that there was probably some plowing error. And we repaired and fixed them accordingly. So in a situation like that, we obviously realized that was not intentional, but it was some error on our part.
I had a
Maybe
guy.
for the snow over, you could just send a care package, roll of duct tape, some twine.
I had a.
Yeah. Like I said, there's some real dandies out there. I know that. And I know a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say a lot of people, but I'm going to show that plow truck driver and I'm going to cement that thing in. I'm going to put a milk can in full of cement or do whatever they got to do. I made it known that that is not the mailbox policy per the Postal Service. Right. There is a requirement that they require a 4x4 post or a 2-inch iron pipe. That's all you can put in. It's got to be able to break away. Somebody hits it.
Mine started leaning a little bit this summer, so I went and made some shims and put them in the ground, blah blah blah. But in the meantime, I got a letter from the mail carrier. Your mailbox is missing, and I suppose it went from this to that. Well, I think it changed the height of it. Maybe
Sure, they don't like that.
2 inches down.
That is get the letter.
I just chuckled. My wife first thought my butt about getting it fixed, but
2 years ago, I had a neighbor call me, and he says, "So and so on the truck is hit my mailbox on purpose because he doesn't like me." Just so happened it just worked all the way. But anyway, I said, and he was quite hot. I said, why don't you just go apply down there and show them guys how to plow snow? Well, he didn't want to. I won't mention any names.
It's never ending, like I said.
I'm sure it is.
I'll guarantee you Brent's phone call has been ringing off, his phone's been ringing off the hook with mailboxes down today, but.
Well, I'd go ahead and move the policy.
And I'll second that motion.
Is there any other questions or comments on the mailbox policy? All those in favor of passing this, say aye. Aye. Opposed, carried.
And I will be posting this on our website.
Good idea. Good idea.
So the general public can see it.
Okay. Number 8, considerations of resolutions, ordinances to be recommended to the county board. None. What about the ATV?
I was going to mention that. So I am working with Nick on that. Nick is working on updating the ordinance. Obviously, it's got to be presented to the county board for final approval. But he is working on that. He was kind of anticipating probably January or February.
Okay.
At this point in time, he's trying to get caught up with a lot of the stuff that in his interim role.
Okay. I was just wondering because
I know a lot of people have been asking. They don't directly ask me; they'll ask to other people, and then it comes to me. So
they want to be there for the meeting.
It's out of my hands at this point in time.
But we won't know for sure if it'll be January or February. It could just pop up being the agenda. Okay, fine.
Ask at the exec committee today.
I could ask Nick out. All right.
I don't know.
Fine. All right. Next meeting date will be January 11th, 2023. Anybody have anything else this time? Hearing none, we are adjourned.